Sonic Colors, a beloved Sonic game amongst the fan community, and is the Sonic game that started a new era called the Meta Era. With the fanbase being tired of the dark and edgy tone from the Dark Age era, SEGA listened to the fans and gave them a game that's much more bright and colorful, which we got Sonic Colors, which by fans and critics was massively praised for being a return to true form from the classic games, which were also bright and colorful. It gave us new voice actors/actresses, a new tone, new gimmicks, a return to the boost formula from the iconic Sonic Unleashed, and in my opinion, hasn't really aged well. Now before anyone starts to get heated, just to let you know, this is just my subjective opinions, but hopefully I can convince some people otherwise. Don't take this word for it. But anyways, just hear me out. Just hear my thoughts on why Sonic Colors is not really that good. Let's start with the easy one first, that being the story. The story with a lighthearted tone is pretty straightforward. You have Sonic and Tails freeing this alien race called Wisps from the villainous Dr. Eggman that is using their energy, called Hypergoan energy, to power up his entire solar system-sized amusement park. Which doesn't sound that bad of an idea for concept if it was just executed properly. It would have been really good and tense, but the lighthearted tone is just makes the story very limited. Not to mention, dialogues is just some of the most questionable and worst in the series. I'm talking about jokes with no context and need to explain themselves for some reason, which is annoying. I think we all remember, "No copyright law of the universe is gonna stop me!" And we also remember, "Baldy nose hair!" Now listen, I don't mind jokes in video games as long as they have context and make sense. And the most important, make me laugh.
Is that an ancient Tibetan ritual dagger in your pocket?
Oh, maybe I'm just happy to see you.
But these jokes are just not it, man. Not to mention, like, a year before this game, we literally just had the GOAT Sonic and the Black Knight, without a doubt the best way to describe Sonic as a character, and also the better story. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules here. Sonic in Black Knight had so much depth and nuance that it made him not to be relate to, but to be inspired to, and I thought that was so perfect for Sonic's character. It made him like fourth dimensional. In this game, he's one-dimensional, which I don't like. I don't like at all. But that's not really the worst part. The worst part is that these jokes can literally drag for minutes. For example, this scene right here.
Wow, sometimes I even impress myself. For a second there, I wasn't sure I was going to pull it off. Well, who am I kidding? We both knew how this would end.
Are you talking to the broken robot who can't hear you?
Maybe. That's between me and the robot. See, the important thing here is the alien planet is free.
Absolutely.
So, we can just forget about the whole talking to dead robots thing, right?
Nope.
I knew you'd say that.
Oh, come on. I've seen you save the day a lot of times, but I've never seen you talk to a pile of metal.
Touché.
Why did that scene need to drag for so long? And why is Sonic's personality just cracking jokes during battle? My god, I swear, it's like the writers know nothing about Sonic. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! And to end my story critique about Sonic Colors, there's just one scene where I felt like it was going to like fix the story of Colors, but no. It ends up being nothing but convoluted filler and anticlimactic.
Tails, buddy?
He's my buddy now.
What have you done to him?
Me? I did nothing at all. In fact, the only way to make this better would be to have you two fight.
Come on, Tails. Snap out of it, dude. You don't want to do this.
What the?
Tails, buddy, are you all right?
Where am I? Why is my nose hair tingling?
Lousy, cheap alien energy.
I know, right? So is this scene. Now that we've gone through the story, let's talk about the other thing that makes this game mid for me. The gameplay. The gameplay is okay. Now okay, the boost itself is actually really fun to use. However, a few years before this, we literally just had Sonic Unleashed, which was 10 times faster and 10 times more satisfying. But, like Sonic Unleashed, it does follow its basic formula from its predecessor. You have to replay these levels over and over again until you are finally able to master and get that sweet S rank. You have to know when to jump, when to boost, when to slide, when to homing attack, when to etc. Now this is good that a game that follows Sonic Unleashed follows the same rules as its predecessor. If it wasn't for the fact that this game is so heavily based on 2D platforming that it's just not even funny. Now listen, I don't mind a 2D game with 2D platforming. I love the new Super Mario Bros. Games, for Christ's sake. But this game just takes it too far when it comes to being a 3D game. Sonic Unleashed did have some 2D sections with 2D platforming, but at least it was short-lived and didn't drag out the entirety of the game. Colors is a whole nother story, and I don't like it because of it. Slow-paced platforming, lots of dead time waiting, and also the double jump feels janky, and the wisps just make it a lot worse. Oh yeah, the wisps. I haven't talked about them. The one key feature that Sonic Colors introduced us Sonic fans to were the wisps. Alien-like creatures that give Sonic special abilities when he comes to contact with them. And the way they play is not good. Listen to me. In concept, these guys sound fun to play. Transforming Sonic into a living rocket, a living laser, a monster that destroys everything in its path, a spike ball which allows you to spin dash, an alien that allows you to lightspeed dash, it all sounds fun. But in execution, they slow down the game's pacing way too much. Aside from Laser Wisp and Frenzy Wisp, those guys you can keep, every other wisps just either slow down your pacing or are just not fun to use at all. Spike Wisp allows you to spin dash, but can feel clunky when connecting to walls. Hover Wisp allow you to lightspeed dash, but is slower than the real deal. Rocket Wisps allows you to shoot straight up into the air to destroy ceilings with little to no air movement. Drill Wisps allows you to dig underground to find red rings, but these red rings add no benefit once you collect all 90 of them, so what's even the point? Ghost Wisps allows you to face their walls.
With a freaking icon!
Now, I wouldn't mind this being a thing if it wasn't for the fact that 2 Mario Galaxy games did the concept better. Cube Wisps allows you to turn blue rings into platforms, which means puzzle platforming! Yeah, I hate this guy. Fun fact, if you collect the blue rings and try to make them into platforms, no chance. They're gone. Your career is ruined. Then there's White Wisps, which allows Sonic to boost. Confession time. I don't like the White Wisps filling up the boost gauge at all. Rings were already the perfect gameplay source and felt necessary and satisfying. With aliens, it just feels unnatural. Now, I wouldn't mind this being a one-time thing if it wasn't for the fact that they once again appear in Sonic Forces, making it feel like Sonic needing to boost feel like an outside requirement. And to that I say, thank God they are not in Sonic Frontiers. I would have lost my fur if they returned again. Well, you could just skip the wisps and complete the levels without them. No, you cannot. I've seen Shamix's videos, and trust me, it is not gonna work. And also, thanks to these little guys, we literally have them back for Generations, Lost World Forces, and even Team Sonic Racing of all side games. They really added no necessary needs in all of these games. Speaking of which, not including Sonic Forces, Colors feels like the weakest Sonic boosting game of the Boost trilogy. And also, what is everyone's least favorite part about Generations? Yeah, it's Planet Wisps. Not just modern, but also classic. What do you know? The reason why is because 2 Wisps, Rocket and Spike, feels unnecessary, constantly slowing down the pacing, especially Spike Wisp, since you already have classic Sonic's overpowered spin dash.
So I don't know why this wisp needed to return in Generations.
But that's not the worst part. The worst part about this game is 6 acts. If you thought 3 acts from Sonic 1 were bad, this is so much worse. 2 times worse. And with the boss battles having separate stages, you're gonna have to play 7 stages per planet, meaning that you're gonna have to play no more than 35 stages of filler. And no, trust me, you cannot skip all of those acts. You have to play every single one of those acts to even progress through the final part of the game. Trust me, I have tried. I've tried. And these extra acts aren't even unique. They're literally reusing some assets from the first act. I don't know why they're this unnecessary. And this is taking up like 75% of the game. So many filler in this game. And I'm gonna say this right now. The wisps from Sonic Colors are the 4th worst Sonic gameplay mechanics that I have ever played in my entire life. 4th to Big Fishing minigame from Sonic Adventure 1, the motion controls in Secret Rings, and the God Connect from Sonic Freeriders. And those Wisp fanboys out there, are you guys seriously going to tell me that it's better than the Werehog or Caliburn or the team mechanic from Sonic Heroes? Are you really? Because if so, that's stupid. Well, what about the bosses? Surely they're fun, right? Nope. No, they are not. These bosses are not fun. Why? Because they are easy to beat as heck, and are made even more easier thanks to the Wisps, and thanks to Sonic Team running out of ideas. You're gonna have to play the same 3 bosses twice, in fact. Okay, games like SA2 and 06 are not free from this, but at least they keep the bosses at the bare minimum. They have far more unique bosses than Colors will ever have. And even if they do reuse them, the strategy is different. The same is not said here. You just use the Wisps once or twice and that's it. The boss is defeated. And to further back up my filler axe point, I've done some research by replaying Sonic Colors and found out that 32 out of the 45 total stages add nothing to the story. Meaning only 13 stages actually matter! Now I get it, SEGA and Sonic Team wanted to keep this game from being too short, and wanted to give it more content for players to keep playing it. But this is not the way to do it, dude! Making these filler acts mandatory for progression purposes is not how to give a game content if it adds nothing to the story. Instead, do what Sonic Unleashed and Sonic and the Black Knight did. Sonic Unleashed had some extra acts that were completely optional for players to either take advantage of the fact that it can probably level up the stats better than the mandatory acts can, or simply have fun. Sonic and the Black Knight took this one step further by giving each mission their own icons so that players can know which missions are mandatory and which are optional. Even the DS port did this structure better! Not just that, but also the story by adding more characters to make the amusement park feel amusing, having the level design actually complementing the Wisp's powers and abilities, and by limiting the total amount of acts per planet. And Sonic Team was part of this development, so I don't know why they didn't do this for the Wii version of the game. Sonic Team, tell me, why didn't you do this for the main game? Tell me why! But enough negativity. Let's say some positive things about Colors before the comments think I have nothing good to say about this game. The aesthetics of Colors are really breathtaking, even for a Wii game. It really gives the amusement park the look it deserves. It's not Mario Galaxy levels of aesthetics, but still breathtaking. The levels are greatly challenging for those who want to get an S rank, like ya boy. My favorite stage in the game is hands down Asteroid Coaster. The environment, the soundtrack, and a home to one of my favorite Wisps in the game, Frenzy Wisp. The ranking system is honestly one of the best in the series. It's up there with games like Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Unleashed, the Sonic Rush games, Sonic 06, believe it or not, Shadow the Hedgehog, again believe it or not, Sonic Heroes, and Sonic Adventure 2. It isn't like in Generations where in that game, getting a perfect score just requires you to get to the goal ASAP. You're actually doing more in Colors. You gotta destroy enemies, use the Wisps constantly, quickstep constantly, obtain 5 red rings, and get to the goal ASAP. The soundtrack, as usual, is fire. The songs in each stage is so memorable that I find myself humming these themes. And the extra acts add remixes to the first act's theme to thankfully avoid some repetitiveness. Even if some of these remixes aren't as memorable. My favorite songs are Reach for the Stars, the main theme, Aquarium Park, and Asteroid Coaster. Even though it gave birth to lackluster storytelling for the past 10 years, it thankfully gave the Sonic community some light and reunion. And it also walked so that Generations can run. But the major kudo that I can give Colors though, is the ending. After running down to find Eggman and pushing Tails down a space elevator back to Earth, we began the final boss, the Neo Wisp Armor. Unlike the other sorry excuses for bosses, the Neo Wisp armor is actually a threat. With the power of the Wisp's Hypergoon energy, this machine can use the Wisp's power against you, shooting lasers, throwing cubes, and rolling spikes. Even if it's running out of energy, it will suck up nearby Wisps to refill. Cruel. In order to deal damage, you'll need to get closer and homing attack parts of the armor to then homing attack Eggman front and center. Doing this multiple times frees the Wisps you've been using throughout the game. Once every breed of Wisp is free, you'll do a team attack for the final blow, thus sending Eggman flying across space. What a way to end a fight. However, it's not over. Because during Eggman's plan to use Hypergoon energy to mind control the world, it backfired, thus creating a black hole-like substance, absorbing and destroying everything in the amusement park. Despite Sonic running fast and dodging obstacles in his way, he doesn't have enough stamina to keep going. The fight with Eggman made him use that stamina, thus Sonic gets sucked in. Until the Wisps swoop in to save Sonic and floating him back to Earth safe and sound. The Wisps then use their power to evaporate the Hypergoon energy black hole, and then teleport their planets to their own galaxy. Yaku then thanks Sonic for freeing their race, and Sonic thanks Yaku for saving him, thus ending the game, Sonic Colors. I like this ending because it takes the note of Sonic's way of freedom. Freeing the animals in Sonic 1 all the way to freeing aliens is a nice detail. And seeing the Wisps help Sonic to escape the energy hole for his heart and compassion in return is such a sweet and satisfying way to end a Sonic game. I like this. I really do. Now to finally wrap up this video, in terms of concept, story premise, animation, ranking system, and ending, elevates this game to a massive degree. However, in terms of gameplay, story execution, lack of fun gimmicks, level filler, and weak dialogue between characters are things that hold me back from me to even consider this game as one of the best Sonic games of all time. I know I upset a lot of Colors fans, but this is how I felt about the game. If you love Sonic Colors, then keep loving it and don't let my opinion change you. But if I somehow managed to convince you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw shade at your favorite game. Believe me, I know what it feels like. I'm not saying Colors is a bad game by any means, nor am I even saying it is a good game. At the end of the day, I just think this game is mid, and there's nothing wrong about that. So for me, Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii gets a final verdict of a 5 out of 10.